German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has ruled out sending troops to Ukraine before a ceasefire is in place, calling Russian President Vladimir Putin perhaps the most serious war criminal of this era. He has stated that there is no place, for leniency. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico also plans to raise attacks, especially that have taken place against energy facilities during his upcoming meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He is going to raise these, especially considering Slovakia's dependence on Russian energy. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has stated that he wants to see the war end after meetings with Putin and Zelensky. He has noted that over 7,000 soldiers from both sides were lost last week and has warned of consequences if no progress is made towards a peace deal. Trump has supported land swapping as part of any settlement, a proposal that Ukraine opposes but may have to concede as Russia controls about a fifth of its territory. Listen into what the leaders have had to say.
Es ist ein Kriegsverbrecher. Es ist vielleicht der schwerste Kriegsverbrecher unserer Zeit, den wir zurzeit im großen Maßstab sehen. Und wir müssen uns einfach darüber im Klaren sein, wie man mit Kriegsverbrechern umgeht. Da ist Nachgiebigkeit fehl am Platz. Er hat im Augenblick überhaupt keinen Grund, sich einem Waffenstillstand oder gar einem Friedensabkommen zu nähern. Den Grund müssen wir schaffen. Militärisch wird das schwierig, aber ökonomisch kann das gehen. Man muss dafür sorgen, dass dieses Land Russland nicht weiter in der Lage ist, die Kriegswirtschaft aufrechtzuerhalten. Also ich spreche in diesem Zusammenhang von einer ökonomischen Erschöpfung, die wir mit herbeiführen müssen, zum Beispiel durch Zölle auf diejenigen, die immer noch mit Russland eifrig Handel betreiben. Und da sind wir wieder bei Amerika.
Yeah, I don't want to. I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000, between the two countries, 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but, you know, they're soldiers. I want to see it end.
Opakujem, veľmi ostro reagujeme na útoky na ropnú infraštruktúru, ktoré tu boli. Ja sa mám stretnúť v piatok v Užhorode s prezidentom Ukrajiny a budem túto otázku veľmi vážne otvárať. Toto nie je možné, aby takýmto spôsobom sa útočilo na infraštruktúru, ktorá je pre Slovensko životne dôležitá. Preto chcem veľmi otvorene, pán prezident, povedať na tomto stretnutí, že nám mimoriadne záleží na štandardizácii vzťahov medzi Slovenskou republikou a Ruskou federáciou. Chcem navrhnúť čo najrýchlejšie stretnutie zmiešanej komisie. Vráťme sa naspäť k tomu, čo bolo typické pre naše krajiny, pokiaľ ide o hospodárskú spoluprácu. Hľadajme prieniky, kde môžu naše krajiny veľmi úspešne spolupracovať.
All right, still with us on the broadcast is Professor Popovsky. We've heard what the leaders have had to say. We do know that earlier when Zelensky had met Trump at the Oval Office, Trump had made it very clear that any security guarantee for Ukraine would not entail US boots on the ground. It also seems that although Europe did consider this proposal, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has now come out and ruled out sending troops to Ukraine before a ceasefire is in place. Is this indicative of European nations now bending towards what the US is already doing?
Yes, there are several European countries that already suggested troops on the ground, so Americans are not needed there. Americans can provide air defense, air support, intelligence, and many other things, financial support, and so on. So there will be a kind of a division of labor who will do what once the ceasefire is achieved. And yes, absolutely no surprise here. Germany may decide or may not decide, but there will be plenty of British, French, Polish, and other countries that will supply the necessary troops, the necessary equipment. There is no doubt about that. that Ukraine will get security guarantees very close to what Article 5 of the NATO treaty does, basically supporting Ukraine on any future attack. Russia should not dare to shoot a bullet to Ukraine anymore, because that will trigger a massive response by all NATO members. Again, Russia rejects that, and it's another kind of a sign of lack of cooperation from Moscow to talk about security guarantees for Ukraine. They can mention that, but they don't mean anything. There cannot be a Russian security guarantee. It can only be European and American. Obviously, there is absolutely no doubt about that. There is absolutely no trust in any Russian proposal anymore. Russia violated the 1994 Budapest Agreement, which included security guarantees, by the way. Ukraine is demanding what all those countries already promised in 1994, and they never delivered. So obviously, from now on, the stand will be very firm, and it will be what does Ukraine want.
Indeed, so I want to ask a quick follow-up. We do know that there was a deal inked yesterday between Russia and China as far as energy cooperation between these two countries is concerned. They've signed an agreement to construct the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline through Mongolia. The deal was announced by Gazprom CEO after talks had taken place in China. To what extent will this further frustrate the West?
Well, my understanding is it will take 4 or 5 years to build that pipeline. Good, let them try, let them do that. Maybe a future Russian president will be much better than Vladimir Putin. Maybe a future Chinese president will be much better than Xi Jinping. So it's kind of a long-term plan to build a pipeline. I wonder why they didn't build it so far. Maybe because China had other sources of supply. It may look like China is already thinking of taking full control of Siberia itself. The collapse of Russia means China will have a lot of appetite in Siberia, including to energy sources, including to oil and gas. So it's definitely not good news for Russia. Russia is becoming a slave of China over long term. And that's absolutely understandable because of the horrible policies by Vladimir Putin over the last 20 years. Russia, if it doesn't change its course, if it doesn't stop war, if it continues to act like that, one day will be totally destroyed and easy prey for Chinese appetite in Siberia.
All right, so with that, I would like to thank you